The Pittsburgh Steelers have been known in the past for having elite defensive linemen. They may have found a gem when they selected defensive tackle Derek Harmon from the Oregon Ducks with the 21st overall pick in the 2025 NFL Draft. Harmon is lined to potentially be one of the starting defensive linemen with the Steelers along with Cameron Hayward and Keanu Benton. Pittsburgh coaches are raving about the rookie defensive lineman. Pittsburgh Steelers coach raves about rookie Derek Harmon entering the 2025 NFL season. The Steelers coaching staff is impressed with what Harmon has done so far this offseason. Pittsburgh was wondering if he was going to be a starting heading into the 2025 NFL season, or if he was going to have to earn his stripes in that regard. Brooke Pryor of ESPN.com said, "It's not often the Steelers tap a rookie to be a starter in June, but that's exactly what defensive line coach Carl Dunbar did. He goes out there with the ones," Dunbar said. "He's our left starting defensive tackle. You can write that." Then again, Pittsburgh doesn't often use its base 3-4 defense that would put Harmon on the field as a starter alongside Cameron Hayward and Keanu Benton. Still, Dunbar identifying him as a starter signals that the Steelers have been impressed with their first-round pick. "I feel comfortable," Harmon said of the defense. "At Oregon, we had the same defense, so I'm playing the same position. Biggest difference for me is really just learning the speed of the game." With Oregon and Pittsburgh playing a 3-4 defensive scheme, it will be easy for Harmon to grasp it. It was not a surprise to see the Steelers draft a defensive line in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft, despite needing to draft a quarterback in that situation. Harmon is going to be a building block of the Steelers' defense moving forward, especially if TJ Watt doesn't sign a contract extension with them. Harmon helped the Ducks' defense be successful during the 2024 college football season. They were 13-0 before they lost to the Ohio State Buckeyes in the playoffs. The Steelers finished with a 10-7 record in 2024, and Harmon will look to anchor this Steelers defense for years to come. For the first time in a long time, things feel just right with the Pittsburgh Steelers. On Tuesday, four-time All-Pro and Super Bowl champion Aaron Rodgers joined the Pat McAfee Show to talk about his adventurous offseason and what lies ahead in his new black and gold chapter. What stood out most wasn't the stories or the jokes, but his mindset. Rodgers made it clear that 2025 will likely be his final ride, and he's going all in. "I'm going to give the Steelers everything that I've got, and I'm going to empty the tank," Rodgers said. "I'm pretty sure this is my last season, and that's why we did the one-year deal." As a lifelong Steelers fan, that declaration was music to my ears. In one sentence, Rodgers erased any doubt that he's here for a paycheck or a farewell tour. He's here to compete and possibly bring another Lombardi trophy to the Steel City. Yes, Rodgers is 41, but he's still savvy, sharp, and most importantly, motivated. His arm talent, leadership, and football IQ are exactly what the Steelers need to bridge the gap between a gritty, competitive roster and true championship contention. He gives Pittsburgh something they haven't had in a while, a proven quarterback capable of elevating everyone around him. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in a win-win situation in Aaron Rodgers' final season. But the Rodgers signing isn't just about 2025, it's also about setting up the future. Pittsburgh quietly grabbed a potential gem in the 6th round of April's draft in quarterback Will Howard, the former Ohio State Buckeye. While there were whispers Howard might compete for playing time this year, the talks have cooled now that Rodgers is healthy and locked in. That's a good thing. Rodgers didn't hesitate to embrace his mentorship role. "If you want assistance, I'm here, buddy. I want to help you," he told Pat McAfee about Howard. Arthur Smith-Aaron Rodgers partnership off to promising start for Steelers. That's the kind of selfless leadership that championship teams build on. Rodgers is not just here to win now. He's here to help lay the foundation for the next decade of Steelers football. Pittsburgh has always exuded toughness, tradition, and a team-first mentality. Rodgers fits that mold more than some might have expected. With him under center and a rising talent like Howard learning behind him, the Steelers are not only in great hands for the season but are positioned perfectly for the future. Rodgers is emptying the tank. In Pittsburgh, that might be enough to fill the trophy case. Things don't appear to be going very well for former Pittsburgh Steelers running back Najee Harris, who was recently labeled a pre-training camp trade candidate after just signing with the Los Angeles Chargers in free agency. When Harris first inked a one-year deal with the Chargers, it felt like the perfect landing spot. After all, Los Angeles needed a new RB1, and head coach Jim Harbaugh loves to run the football. Everything was set up for Harris to have a big season ahead of another test of the free agent market in 2026. Until the NFL draft, Harris is on a one-year deal and may not be viewed as a long-term piece for LA. Bleacher Report analyst Christopher Knox wrote on June 21st after identifying Harris as an early trade candidate. The Chargers also drafted Omarion Hampton with a number 22 overall pick in April, and the North Carolina product might walk into an every-down role. Knox did acknowledge that Jim Harbaugh loves to lean on the ground game, and he'd probably rather have too much backfield depth than too little, but he still wasn't convinced Harris's place in Los Angeles is totally safe. Teams in need of running back help would at least be wise to call about Harris's availability, Knox argued. While he was never a high-level starter with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he was a dependable high-volume back who topped 1,000 rushing yards in all 4 campaigns. The oddest part of this early trade speculation was what came next. NFL writer suggests Cowboys and Steelers as potential trade fits for Najee Harris. As Knox continued discussing Harris as a possible trade candidate, he named 2 landing spots that he deemed to be potential suitors. And the Steelers were actually one of them, along with the Dallas Cowboys, which makes more sense than a Pittsburgh reunion. Dallas should consider adding Harris as a high-floor option in its backfield, Knox wrote, adding, the Steelers may actually want to consider bringing back the 27-year-old now that they have their quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh signed Kenneth Gainwell, drafted Caleb Johnson, and is preparing to give Jaylen Warren a bigger workload, he continued. However, it's also admitted losing Harris will impact its backfield plan. Knox concluded that supporting Rodgers with a good ground game should be high on Pittsburgh's to-do list, and bringing back Harris could help accomplish that. Najee Harris' reunion is unlikely considering he badmouthed Steelers upon leaving. Forget for a moment that the Chargers trading Harris months after signing him is unlikely. And forget that the Steelers spent a 3rd-round pick on Johnson, his long-term replacement. Even if all that did not matter in Pittsburgh's eyes, a Harris reunion is still probably not happening. Shortly after joining the Chargers, Harris badmouthed the Steelers' facilities and the lack of offensive identity after Ben Roethlisberger. So, the longtime playmaker didn't exactly leave Pittsburgh gracefully. Who knows if the seemingly bitter behavior stemmed from the Steelers not offering what he felt he was worth, or if Harris simply took leaving town as an opportunity to get some things off his chest. Either way, Pittsburgh has certainly moved on from Harris, bringing in Johnson and Gainwell. Don't expect this unfounded Steelers trade idea to come to fruition.